91% of the campaigns that are run in the United States that are won by the side that's with the most cash. Essentially, the most well-financed side, or I should say the side that's better financed. Typically, 91% of the time is the side that wins. That is an astonishing number. And it makes you question any notion of having a democracy. How can you have a democracy when really the main thing that determines whether or not a person gets elected is not the ideas, not the policies, but the cash? And what do you do when you know that? When you're faced with that particular reality of running in elections in the United States, what do you as a candidate focus on? You focus on the cash. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas, and this is a soaked progressive soapbox. We just got back in the house. There's like a thunderstorm. If you guys enjoy this content, you find yourself coming back here often, please consider supporting this content through PayPal or Patreon. We have been getting slaughtered with the demonetizations, and your help is always appreciated. We like to say even $1 helps. So this 91%. Think about what that means. 91%. Your candidates are just being bought. If you were the candidate and you're in a position where you're running in a race in the United States, and you know that the deciding factor, the determining factor, to the tune of 91%, there are 9% that eat through, but 91%, the overwhelming, overarching, complete, hyperbolic majority are the side with the most cash. What do you as a rational human being focus on? I'll tell you what you're going to focus on. You're going to focus on the cash. You're going to focus on getting the dollars. You're going to make sure that you are better, more equipped, better financed than your opponent. But what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean from the standpoint of policy? I haven't even mentioned policy. We're talking about politicians, people who are supposed to be representing your interests. How on earth can they be representing your interests when the main thing that they focus on in the course of their day, 75% of the time, is dialing for dollars, begging, pleading, asking, give me cash, like strippers on a pole, staring at the rich guy, hoping that he rubs his credit card through those sweet ass cheeks. This is our political space. How do you ever believe that you're going to get any effective policy that benefits the mass of the population with a political system that is so dependent on cash? Don't take my word for it. It's right here. I've shown this article before. This article is astonishing. That article is astonishing. One Mr. Joe Biden was in a situation recently, the other day. In fact, not just Joe Biden, many of the Democrats are out there looking for cash, dialing for dollars. Elizabeth Warren herself will be dialing for dollars immediately after primaries. She said she's going to be taking cash after the primaries. And so I'd be shocked if she wasn't talking to those people now. So after the primaries, she will open her coffers so all of that sweet nectar of cash can come in. And all of those suckers that thought she wasn't going to take it during the primaries, spurred on by one Cenk Uygur, by the way, because Uygur put out a tweet saying Elizabeth Warren and Sanders were the only two that weren't going to take cash. You're wrong. You're wrong. She's going to take it after the primaries. That's assuming she gets through the primaries. It's like, suckers. Thanks for putting me through the primaries. Who do you want, me or Trump? Me or Trump? Joe Biden at a finance, at a money thing, went to a billionaire. And he asked that billionaire, help me, dog. I need dollars. Most of these contests are won by the side with the most cash. I need dollars. And you have 20 people in this race. Help me out. Help me out. Give me some cash. I need that sweet cash. Now, in this case, that guy just so happens to be a Trump supporter. But he did support Hillary Clinton. Meaning he did give Hillary Clinton a bunch of money. He says he likes Joe Biden. Why wouldn't he like Joe Biden? Him and Hillary Clinton are, for the most part, the same person. I would say Hillary Clinton is probably smarter. That guy turned Joe Biden down. Joe Biden asked him for money. Please give me money. And he said, the billionaire is saying this. He says, I smiled. It's like I pet Joe Biden on the head. The Democrat that's running for office. All of these other Democrats, many of these guys are talking about Green New Deal, healthcare, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Do you honestly believe that you're going to get a situation where something tangibly changes in your world with Joe Biden? Joe Biden was out there screaming centrism and laughing at any notion of a political revolution. He is at a poor people's campaign where the whole point of the campaign is to bring the masses of people up and get them into the political space so you can get real change. Joe Biden scoffed at that. And he said, you can go out and start a real physical revolution. You're screaming centrism to an organization that is literally trying to do the thing that you're scoffing at. How do you get change in the system when the politicians are obsequious to cash? When the billionaires are petting the guys who are supposed to go out there and represent your interests on the head with a smile? Oh, think of that image. Joe Biden is begging a billionaire for money. He tells him no. He tells him no. He tells the newspaper he told him no. And then, after telling him no, goes on Twitter and does this.
Get the fuck out of here! Our country, motherfucker! Our country! Proud fucking American! Made in USA, bitch! Made in fucking USA! Don't fucking cook my burrito, bitch!
That guy's a Trump supporter. The closest thing I could find was the guy going out there just laughing at Joe Biden and just like, get out of here. Get out of here. And then screaming Trump at the top of his lungs. Believe it or not, it's not that far off. He goes on to Twitter and screams Trump at the top of his lungs. Now, I was trying to find a video of somebody just screaming, Trump! I couldn't find it. And I couldn't put it off myself. So I just showed the tweet. On this great day, Trump kicking off his 2020 campaign in Orlando. I want to make it clear. Me and my family are supporting the real Donald Trump. 100%. We're fighting for the soul of America. That's an amazing tweet. And you ask, why did he put that tweet out there? Why is he that emphatic? Why is he so on top of it? The reason, I think, is because right here, CNBC talks about how Joe Biden was begging this guy for money. And I suppose he goes on here to let Trump know that you have my support. It's not so much that the guy is supporting Trump or not supporting Trump. The catch here is that it's just Biden is begging for cash. Biden is begging for cash and then being told no. Let me ask you this. Most people who have even a passing idea of politics, most Americans, would admit that our system runs on cash. Even if they can't necessarily tell you the dynamics of that, they would feel that that's corrupt. They would feel that these people are not working in their interests. And the Princeton study showed that to be true. The amount of influence that you have in your political space amounts to statistical noise. Now, that's not an absolute. People can get involved in the political process. I've often said you have dollars or you have pitchforks. I am not apathetic in the least. People can push on the political apparatus. People can pull the political apparatus. It is your apparatus. It is rickety. It is, rusted over. All of those things are true. But it's still there. Still there. The question is, do you believe that apparatus in any way is going to get used to your interests with people like Biden begging billionaires for money? And do you believe that Republican contributors or even Democratic contributors who are billionaires, millionaires, who have an interest in maximizing their own profits and consider politicians investors, that those politicians, after receiving that investment, in any way is going to go and look out for your interests? And if you believe that, have they done so up to this point? And if so, why has the country shifted further and further and further to the right? And before you start screaming Republicans, these are the worst knuckle-dragging Republicans, and the Democrats couldn't even beat them. How do you lose to knuckle draggers like this? And yet they do. Ralph Nader made the point that they can't defend this country from the worst insane knuckle draggers that has ever been in this country. And to some degree, that's not because of how good Republicans are. It's almost so how feckless and weak Democrats are. There's a difference in those things. There's a difference in those things. I'll tell you this. What I won't do is what you shouldn't do is assume that people who are begging for cash in some way is going to turn around and represent your interests and not necessarily the interests of the people who are giving them the cash. Why would they do such a thing? Why do you believe that shrewd investors and businessmen are somehow going to drop their money into somebody that is not going to represent their interests? There are enlightened billionaires out there. That's true. I don't believe this guy who's a Trump supporter, who's screaming at the height of his lungs about how awesome Trump is one of them. And yet, Biden wants money from him. And yes, this guy was a supporter of Clinton. The question is this. What are the conversations you believe these guys have in the shadows? This is overt. But do you honestly believe that all conversations that people have in this case are overt? Do you believe that everything is always above board in the way that people talk about these things? Of course not. That would be utter lunacy and nonsense. Are all of your conversations always overt? And if you became rich and famous tomorrow, do you believe that all of a sudden that would change? There's a candidate in the race that is not running to billionaires for cash. Just saying. I'll leave this here. This is embarrassing. Utterly embarrassing. I'm putting an article at the bottom. I'm a Trump supporter, sorry. No Biden. That's embarrassing. That's utterly embarrassing. I'll end this here. I have one or two more that I want to do. I have a really good Jimmy Carter one that is awesome. That is awesome. And so I'll see you guys in like 5 minutes. That one is already queued up. Thanks all. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share. Please consider sharing, liking, subscribing. You can always support the PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all. I'll see you momentarily.